Hey everyone, and welcome back. My name is Colton, and I'm with POSGuys.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Honeywell PM45. The PM45 is the company's newest addition to their industrial line of products, and it promises great performance at a great price. So we're going to take a look and see if it's worth the hype. The unit is set to replace and consolidate a good chunk of Honeywell's industrial line of printers, which is kind of in step with a lot of their other product lines lately. We saw them do a similar thing with the HF680 and their presentation line of scanners, and the HF680 was a super solid scanner. So I'm hoping that this unit here will live up to the hype and offer similar performance. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start off by looking at the print performance on this unit. Being an industrial printer, it can support high volume direct thermal and thermal transfer printing, and it can do it pretty fast as well. This thing can clock in at 12 inches per second, which is super fast for a printer in its line of products. You're not going to see a speed like that unless you start to buy into something like a really high-end Honeywell printer, something like the PX940. So you're definitely getting a good value speed-wise. It'll vary, the speed will start to diminish a little bit as you kind of go into some of the higher DPIs, but that's pretty common, it's super standard. Speaking of DPI, the printer has models starting at 203 DPI, which is pretty standard, and then it jumps up to there from 300 to 403, and there's even some models that can do up to 600 DPI, which is super tiny, and that's used a lot like the pharmaceutical industry or for printing really, really tiny QR codes. So now that I've gone over the print performance a little bit, I wanted to zoom you in a little bit so that you can get a better look at the inside of this unit. So it's going to flip up here. It has a nice little door that allows you to access all the internal components here. As with most industrial printers, you'll be able to use industrial sized label rolls. So the minimum outer diameter that you can use on these is 1.5 inches, and you can get up to about an 8-inch outer diameter, so you can really use some large size rolls. That'll depend a little bit on the model you get, of course. There's some compact versions that aren't quite as large. Unfortunately, even though there's a little hanger here to hang the ribbon, you can't actually use desktop size labels. The core sizes on them are a little bit too small, which is kind of a disappointment. I was really hoping for that, but it does have a nice little lever, so you can kind of use that here to kind of anchor the media a little bit. On the ribbon side of things, the printer features a much improved ribbon spool that's a lot easier to use than its predecessor, the PM43. So this is a little spool here. So you'll take this will hold the media, the ribbon rather, and then it kind of wraps through the printhead assembly and wraps around this. And this is actually really improved from previous versions. As mentioned, there's some nice little clips on here, which you might not be able to see, that allow you to hold and grab onto the ribbon a lot more effectively for when you manually roll it up. And there's this nice little tension release mechanism that can be pulled in and out. On the previous version of this device, this was really hard to push in, and it would move the whole printer. So they made it a lot easier to push that in. So this is a really big upgrade compared to some of the older models of this. So one thing I did want to bring up about this, there's an adjustable lever that can apply variable pressure to the print head so that you can use different thicknesses of labels pretty consistently. That feature is pretty common on these kind of industrial printers, but I wanted to mention it specifically because I found that the tensioner on this unit is a little less premium than I would have hoped for. And it actually tends to catch some of the cabling below it when it's being adjusted. It's not a glaring issue, and it shouldn't be a big deal. And while I have you zoomed in here, I wanted to point out the calibration on this device. The calibration on this is really easy. You just have to press one button and push it in, and it'll automatically calibrate for you. You can later on press that button, and it'll pop out a single label. So that's really nice. Usually there's a whole process needed for these, so it's really nice that Honeywell decided to simplify the process for us. So I've zoomed you back out here, now that we've taken a look under the hood, so to speak, to talk about the overall appearance of the device. So footprint-wise, you're going to have two options to choose from. There's a standard version, which is 19 inches long by 11 inches wide and 11 inches tall. And there's also a special compact version of this, which is going to be a little shorter. It's 17 inches long by 7 inches long and then 10 inches high. Both models are going to come with a metal casing, which feels really solid. It's really nice metal. There are some plastic parts on the device, but not many. And even the plastic parts are pretty sturdy. There's two different models. there is a touch display, which we have here, and then there's also an icon display. Both versions, both the icon and the touch display are available in both the standard and compact versions. So you have a bunch of different configurations there. Speaking of configurations, I want to get into this a little bit because Honeywell went all out in terms of the different configuration options that you have for this device. All versions of the printer are going to come with a USB and Ethernet port on the back. And other models are going to have access to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and there's even a model with a cellular connectivity option using a SIM card slot, which is really cool. I haven't seen that before. I'm sure there's some out there, but I thought that that was a really cool use that, you know, some people might find a use for on that. What's cool about these interface options is that they're actually swappable. There's some screws here on the back that can be unscrewed, and you can replace the interface cards. So you have a lot of flexibility that way. And other models will come with parallel and serial connections as well. This particular one has a parallel connection. So whatever connection type you need, this printer is going to have a solution for you. Other potential features on this device include a label taken sensor, a rewinder that will allow the printer to re-spool rolls of labels as it's finished with the print job. That'll save you a lot of time. The printer is also going to become embedded with Honeywell's Smart Parse software. That's a cool program that'll allow you to quickly change the position of labels, the size of objects and barcodes on the label, as well as the font type, without needing to change the labels on your back-end system. And the really cool thing is that it doesn't really require any programming, which is nice. So it'll probably save you some headache there. And if you're a little bit on the fence about getting a new printer because you're worried about, you know, the compatibility, which is super understandable. I've run into a lot of people that's their big hiccup. No need to worry. This printer might be the way to go for you. The PM45 supports a ton of variable network protocols and a bunch of different printer languages. So getting this integrated into your existing system shouldn't be a big headache. You should find it to be a pretty relatively smooth process compared to going with some other printers. And that's the quick rundown on this printer. If you want a more in-depth look at this unit, please make sure to check out the blog post that we've prepared on our website. There's a link to that in the description below. If you wanted to learn more about this unit as well and talk with someone over the phone, you can definitely give us a call. The number is going to be on the screen here. Give us a call and our sales agents can, you know, answer any other questions you have and hopefully get you hooked up with one of these units. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great day.